Hey, this is Scottie from Artifas, and you're listening to the Brutally Delicious podcast.
Hello, hello.
What's up?
Can you hear
How's
me
it
all right?
going, man?
I'm
Yes,
doing
sir.
all right. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm doing all right. Today's my day off from my real world job, so I'm just trying to get a few interviews done and then get some stuff done around the house, all that honeydew crap.
Yeah, man, I hear you.
But it's all good. Got some coffee and I'm ready to roll.
Hey, there you go.
Cool. Well, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. Or me, my partner couldn't make it this morning, so you got just me.
All good.
Hey, that's all good. That's all we need.
That's it. I guess we could start with the single, Leave Me for Dead. I actually have had that in constant play over the last day or two, prepping for this thing. That's a really great song. What has been the feedback to it so far? Been pretty positive?
Yeah, it's been great. It seems a lot of people are really relating to the lyrics and the song. Even both of them, Cut Me Out and Leave Me for Dead. It seems like a lot of people are really drawn into those songs, and I'm pretty stoked about that because the whole record, as the songs come out, I feel like is going to do that. I feel like it's going to reach people, and I feel like it's going to hit home with a lot of people.
So I'm going to jump around on my list then because you're touching on it here, but that was one of my later questions. When you're writing, is there like a theme or message you want your fans to take away? And also, do you have any instances of fans like emailing you or grabbing you after a show and say, hey, I really connected with that tune?
The second part of it, definitely. Even some of our fans have gone as far as to get our lyrics tattooed on them, which is, it's pretty out there, but I'm super grateful. As far as like the writing goes, I think really we write about a variety of subjects. But I think our main goal usually is just to find a way to relate to our listeners and write about something that maybe we're going through or experiencing that we know other people out there are also going through and experiencing. And I think that's, really kind of just the sum of it all. What happens in between the lines kind of varies from here to there.
It's still got to be pretty amazing, overwhelming, and maybe even humbling to realize like somebody across the world sitting in their living room in their underwear is listening to your record and connecting with exactly what you wanted them to hear.
For sure.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the main reasons we do this is to have that connection and for us, the music itself, writing it and getting it out there and performing it every night that we do, that's our therapy, and if we can help out, others and let people know, hey, you're not alone in this. Like a lot of this record that we're putting out now kind of revolves around mental health. And, I think a lot of people have really had to deal with a lot of mental health issues over the last couple of years. And there's been a lot of struggles and depression, being stuck in your house and on your couch or, your job closed down and everybody's just been dealing with a lot of shit,
Something that like, I know that I always had, and I'm sure that, you guys had as well. But when I was growing up and I still am a fan of music. I feel like as songwriters, our band approaches things from that, a fan's perspective. But as a fan, I always had people in my life that I listened to. One of the most notable was Chester Bennington, who every time he opened his mouth, he said something I felt like I could understand.
Right.
And it's kind of our goal, to try and fill a void of some kind like that, like Chester maybe did for us or a lot of other people. Like we just want to be able to write about things that other people can connect to and understand.
We talk a lot about mental health on the show, and actually, I don't know if you know this, but actually have a full-length feature on mental health in like the hard and heavy music world. So something very close to the show and people in the show. And do you find that the music is like cathartic when you're writing it and singing and performing?
I mean, I would say so. Just to
getting your demons out there.
It's like a release, man. It's like, for instance, we haven't been on tour, for 2 years now because COVID, and we were making a record prior to COVID, and it kind of does feel like there's a lot of pent up, something that needs to get out, and shows and these songs in specific, really are my way of kind of bleeding that out and getting rid of it.
Do you ever, I'm sorry, I'm going down this rabbit hole, but bear with me. Do you ever feel like you're too vulnerable, or it's too much to put out there, or do you just
sometimes
not give a shit?
I know Scottie and I have had conversations when writing lyrics, about things that maybe we'd want to say originally, and we decided that maybe it was a little too much. I don't know, Scottie, you might want to say something about that.
No, yeah, I would say that, but at the same time, I think on this new stuff has been the most vulnerable we've been.
It's not like I don't want to reveal myself kind of thing, so much as I don't want to paint that picture too much so that it takes away from someone else's experience.
Right. Hey, can you hang on 1 second? Give me 1 second. Sure. My dog is chewing this bone, and I don't want it on this. I am so sorry.
No, it's all good.
He started chewing the bone right next to my foot, and I don't want all that in the podcast. So. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think more so on this record than ever, we opened up on that vulnerability, and I've always been very lyrically like this, regardless of the message. There's always a message in there that kind of dealing with some shit. But I've always tended to lean towards the uplifting and always drawing. There's always hope. There's always this, and on this record, like, we really tried to take a little bit different route on that lyrically, and just let people know, like, this is the shit I'm going through. And it's not always okay. Like, things don't always end up okay. But like,
segues us into about what the album's about and stuff. I feel like you're kind of leading into that. So
and I think and like Cody said, we left it a little more open-ended, and it's actually been kind of cool because some of these songs lyrically started 4 or 5 years ago. And they've just evolved through the time, and even now some of those songs that the lyrics started 4 or 5 years ago hit me even in a different way today than they did then. Right.
They're still relevant.
Absolutely. So it's like, we want people to be able to take whatever picture they're being in, whatever scene that they're in at that moment, and being able to relate somehow with something that we struggled with ourselves.
Sure.
Gotcha. Did you want to, go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, do you want to expand, because you sort of mentioned it? You want to talk about the record?
Yeah. I think, he's talking about how we took a different approach with the vulnerability of the writing and stuff. I think that was just a product of, where we were at. We, throughout a lot of this record, didn't even know that this music was ever going to get released, or that anybody was ever going to be able to hear it. And at times it kind of felt like we were writing records for ourselves. And I think that's just why it ended up being so vulnerable, because, we weren't really writing it under the pretense that, like, so-and-so is going to think a certain way about this. We were just like, we need to get this out.
Right. Okay.
And that's Reflections is the album title. And we called it that because the entire record is kind of like a series of journal entries of ours. And when we hear it, it's kind of like, looking back and reflecting on some experiences that we've been through.
Isn't it weird how music, and I think more than maybe any other sense in the world or any other thing in the world, can take you right back to a spot like from your childhood, or you remember you hear a song on the radio and you're all of a sudden 6 years old back in your dad's car or whatever. It's the strangest thing in the world.
I remember where I was, who I was with the first time I ever heard a Linkin Park song.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It
hit me wrong or right, and I never let go of it.
And also music's kind of beautiful in that fact that it's universal too. Like, you can meet somebody that you can't even have a conversation with because there's that disconnect of language barrier and whatnot. And music can always like prevail through that. And that's just pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's the craziest thing. Anyway, so how did you guys hook up with Imagine Records and Morgan Rose? Because you guys the perfect fit for the record, right? I mean, for the label, right?
Yeah. So we were playing in outside of Chicago one night at a buddy of ours,
Illinois, Top Fuel Saloon,
and it's a good show, good crowd, and we're on stage, and I happened to just look up and see Morgan walk in, and I was like, "Oh, hey boys, we got to step it up real quick."
Gotta get a good one tonight.
And we kind of just ended up hanging out, till like 6 a.m, just talking about life and the road and, sharing stories and whatnot. And then that led to us going down to Atlanta and doing some writing with him and Corey Lowry, who's now a Seether.
Yeah.
And Corey's cool. We toured with him back when he was in Saint Asonia on Saint Asonia's first tour.
Right.
And so we already kind of had a little bit of a relationship with him. And then we left Atlanta and we went through some other ordeals in Canada and talking to some other labels and whatnot. And at that time, Imagine seemed to not be fully ready to, attack things just yet. And well, fast forward a few months later, Morgan hits us back up and Imagine's ready to rock and roll. And we were the number one band in his mind to get going on there. And he fought for us and he wanted to make sure that he could push us out. And the rest is history, I guess. And we'll just see how that history goes from here.
A couple of shots in a bowling session later, and here we are.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty amazing because you look at the roster, and I think this is, the perfect fit for the roster, right?
Sure.
Yeah, man. It's a lot of good bands, a lot of good things going on there. The label's kind of taking a little bit of a different approach than like the standard label would take. And, we even took some notes from kind of the hip hop realm to where those guys are dropping a new track, every 6 weeks or so. So hence why we're dripping out songs and dripping them out, and making this release stretch. One thing we learned with our last record in Human was we dropped the first single and then we dropped the record immediately. And it was almost like each song didn't get a chance to actually. Morgan, I'll quote him on this. He said he wants to make sure every song has a chance to get a life, has a chance to get a heartbeat, And so that's really what we're trying to do with this one is like, let every song get its, little minute to shine and see which one hits the hardest with the people.
So that's an interesting thing. And I know that's the way the music business is going. And it was actually on my list of things to ask you. That's the route you guys are going to stay with, right? The new sort of music business model with the single every 4 to 6 weeks.
I kind of see ours as a bit of a combination
hybrid.
Of the two. Yeah. Because, we first started having those conversations about release plans and we're like way over here on this side, which I would consider to be, like maybe the hip hop plan side as opposed to the traditional rock thing. And we kind of somewhere ended up in the middle because we, as somewhat traditionalists, ourselves didn't really want to budge on things like full albums,
right? And
stuff like that. So it's kind of somewhere in the middle. We're really trying to pump it out all the time, but we're definitely got a full album and trying to also make it, a thing.
Yeah, we're kind of old school in the fact of which I'm sure you can relate to this is like when grabbing a record and looking at the art and reading everybody.
It's a process.
It's the whole thing is a piece of art,
Right.
And I miss that a lot of times, when I get new records or even myself, I'm guilty of just, going streaming the record and not buying it and doing all that. And I miss a lot of that. And I feel like a lot of that's missing in the music these days.
So I'm definitely a lot older than you, or a little bit older than you guys anyway. And that's the way, I grew up consuming music. You go to the record store on Tuesday, you buy the record, you come home, look at the artwork the way it was meant to be, listen to the record the way you guys spent like weeks sequencing it. Because that's an art form, too, that I think is disappearing, right? The whole sequencing of how does this get put together? Where does this song go? So I know you got to survive. And I know there's, kids like my son's age there. All they want is that short attention span, one song and move on. So you got to find the balance. So I think, Cody, that's probably the best way to do it.
We had a lot of conversations about it. And there were a lot of opinions that got thrown around. But in the end, I think we all found a spot where we felt pretty good. So.
Yeah, kind of straddling the fence and doing a little bit of both. Because for people like me, the old school guys, I could still eventually get the record. And
aside from that, like just from a business standpoint, like as a band these days, physical merch sales are some of your biggest revenue. So, I mean, it doesn't make sense for any band, in my opinion, to go on tour and not have CDs for people to buy and sign. And take home and hang posters on their walls. It's like free promo, They buy that CD and take it home. They're going to think of you again like 2 weeks from now when they see that. So.
Okay. When you're writing your songs, are you writing like for the stage, songs for the stage, or are you writing song for the song's sake? Like, are you saying, hey, this is a great place for a
both
chant? Both?
Yeah. I would say
yeah, I would say more so towards the song's sake, because especially with this record, like
75-25 probably.
Like we did a lot of going to other people and recording and going to other producers and other people, other writers, and trying this and that. And at the end of the day, we just wanted to make the songs we wanted to make. And we had to kind of just put all that back and just go, you know what, let's just do what we want to do. Let's make a record that we're going to dig and hope that people dig it as well. You know? And it was kind of so many times it's like you're in a studio and it's like, has to be, you know, it's got to be this for radio and this for radio and this for that and this for that. And this time around, we were just like, screw it. We're just going to do us. And if radio picks it up, like, that'd be super cool, you know? Right. And if people just dig it, that'd be super cool. But like, at the end of the day, we made a record that I can still, to this day, I can go put it in the living room in here and listen to it from front to back and go, man, I'm proud of that. And I enjoy listening to it.
Right,
and
sure.
And I think that's important.
The only time I think like the stage ever really comes into play when we're writing is just maybe on the instrumental side of, like, you know, how technical are we getting specifically on this latest record. We kind of took even a further
we have to still be able to headbang, guys. If we play this riff that hard, we're not going to be able to do it.
Right, pretty much. And some of the riffs are still like way too hard to be headbanging. But yeah, we definitely took a step to, like, you know, a lot of faster finger work and stuff happening. And other than that, like vocally on stage, you know, those are the only two. We just don't want to, like, we don't ever do like too much vocal layering in the studio just because Scottie and I are very capable, but there's only two of us.
Right.
So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, you know, you gotta get as much as you can in there. But I don't know, the stage, we just want to put on a good show. So as long as we can headbang and my fingers look like they're doing cool things, that's all that really matters.
What are your plans? I know it's probably kind of a weird situation, but what are your plans for taking this on the road? Any kind of plans yet or nothing?
Yes. We're getting ready to announce a tour.
Really? Good for you.
We're going to start at the end of October, and aside from, you know, obvious holiday breaks, we'll probably be on the road for the rest of the year.
Oh, good for you. I know.
Yeah, it's been tough to figure out, man, because nobody's wanting to book anything right now. And,
Sure.
and you know, we just kind of had to take the reins and say we're going to do it ourselves. And like, Cody's been on it nonstop, and we got one of our old booking guys back in to, you know, help us put this tour together. Because nobody's really wanting to book anything until 2022, but we're tired of sitting home. We're going to go play some shows. People are hungry to hear some live music, and we're wanting to give it to them.
What's it going to be like to get back on stage? You're going to be nervous?
I probably will the first night.
I'm going to be more nervous that I'm just like, can my body still do what it did 2 years ago?
Right. Exactly. But after I get that
once we get through
that
first initial like bang over from week one, when your neck's hurting so bad you can't even hold it up anymore.
I feel like, though, you know, even though you're nervous, the fans are going to be just like me and just as excited as you are to be out there and to see live music, that nothing's going to matter, right? The energy is going to be so over the top and so insane. Yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of hoping that this whole thing brings back a lot of the live music world, because I think people realize through this whole COVID deal that when entertainment goes away, the world gets kind of boring, you know? And I think people are ready to have some fun again. Oh my God. I was going to shows like 2-3 a week for years and years and years and years. And then you shut it all down. And I've seen one show in the last 2 years.
Jeez.
Right.
Horrible. And I haven't even seen like a hard rock show. I actually went and saw the Dirty Heads and Sublime just recently, just because it was live music and it was outside and it was fun and I needed to be out.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
We were on tour with this band for the greater part of the last decade. And then around 2019 came home and haven't been back on stage since.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I remember like before we even put the record out, like we were having conversations even like, hey guys, like, are we still a band? You know, like,
right.
And then COVID hit and it just like even prolonged that. And it was just like, no.
How difficult is it to keep up with your fans? Like, I mean, because all you have is social media now, right?
Very hard.
We
kind of went on a bit of a hiatus while we were making the record. And, you know, we'd been writing that record for quite a while and had kind of burned out all of our content and didn't really want to just keep regurgitating the same stuff. So we kind of went on a hiatus there for a while because, like you said, there was just nothing happening, nothing for us to, nothing interesting for us to share with people, no shows being played. So it really sucks. But then the record started to come out, and we had a couple things brewing. So hopefully that hill just keeps to grow, get on bigger. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh-huh.
I don't have anything else. That's run through my questions. Did I miss anything you wanted to cover? Hope that wasn't too bad. I go down rabbit holes.
No, man. No, that was a great interview. I really enjoyed it. Where are you from, Bruce?
I'm originally from New York, but I live in Richmond, Virginia for the last 16 years or so.
Oh, cool. Well, man, we'd love to link up again. Maybe if we get out your way, we can jump on an in-studio kind of deal,
Absolutely. And I don't know if Shauna told you, but I do like a million other. Well, I used to do a cooking show. And it's going to sound
cool.
Where people on tour used to stop it. They pull a tour bus out front and we cook and do an interview, sort of like it's called Brutally Delicious, where people would just come and cook a meal, like Megadeth's been here. We've had a lot of people here.
That's awesome.
But now that 2 years, it's the same thing you guys are in. There's nobody's coming to the house to cook because nobody's on the road anymore.
Well, we'll come cook, bro.
Yeah, that'd be great when you get on the road. So I do a bunch of other little short video things. Some are funny, some are ridiculous. If you guys are interested in doing that kind of stuff,
absolutely,
you can just give me your email or have Shauna send me your email, and I could send you. Most of it's going to be because we can't get together. You guys would have to film it there, but I could send you all the, the instructions and questions and whatever. And if you got a sense of humor, some of it's really funny stuff, like ridiculous. Because I found that people like short and funny, especially now.
I like getting funny probably more so than the other guys, but we just did we just teamed up with Monster Audio, and they sent us like a package of all these different cables to check out, and they want us to do an unboxing video, and it turned into us just getting weird with it.
Okay, cool.
And we kind of made like this whole little commercial almost for them, and it's just silly.
Nice.
But we love doing that kind of stuff, man. And the more content we can get out, and the more we can get out and connect with people and hang out with some cool people like you, like we're always down.
I've had to reinvent just to keep the content going because as you guys have the same issue, there's nobody's coming here anymore. So
right.
So yeah, if you want to send me a message or have Shauna send me your email, I can easily send you stuff. And if you want to do it,
sure,
love to have you. I'm always looking for content as well to keep the site fresh.
Yeah, anyway, it's artificerock@gmail.com.
Oh, that's easy. All right, I'll send it probably tomorrow.
All right, cool.
And give me artificerock@gmail.
Hook up with any venues in your area, man. Let's talk.
So here's the problem.
Dates over there.
Yeah, here's the issue. I mean, there's lots of places here, but since this whole thing has started opening up slowly, I wasn't kidding when I said there's no shows yet. Nobody has played Richmond. They're playing they're playing about 2 hours from me here, 2 hours north. I don't know what the deal with the hard and heavy music, but there's been none here in Richmond.
That's a bummer.
A couple one-offs like the Dirty Heads or something, but even like Lamb of God and Guar and all those guys, they're from here. Nobody's playing shows here.
Huh.
Crazy.
Well, maybe we'll have to just bust up in there. Then that sounds like a lot of fans, right? For the rockin'.
Take care. Nice talking to you.
Thanks for having us, buddy.
Stay safe. Be well.
Yeah.
Ever wonder what a punch from Elton John feels like?
Or how you'd cope with having turned down the chance to be in Nirvana?
Or what signal Keith Richards gives when he wants you to get the hell out of his hotel room?
Fans of Too Much Effing Perspective don't have to wonder, because they've heard these exact stories and a jillion others on our podcast. I'm Alex Hoffman, former tour manager for Radiohead.
And I'm musician and comedy writer Alan Keller. On the TMEP show, we get guests like Nancy Wilson from Heart, Jeremiah Freites from the Lumineers, and Modern Family's Julie Bowen to tell us things they may have only shared with their therapist, clergy, or a TMZ stringer.
So join us on Too Much Effing Perspective. That's EFFING Perspective. The only podcast you crank up to 11.